Alrighty. Let me see if somebody connects. If not, I'll still begin because I'm just trying to obey the Lord. Anyways, a couple of weeks ago, the Lord gave me a word, and He told me to lay down your Isaac on the altar so that I may provide a ram in the bush. And at first, I was a little perplexed, and I couldn't understand what He was talking about. And so after prayer and fasting and meditating on the word, He eventually started to reveal the revelations for me. And I was coming to see if I can share that with y'all today, whoever it reaches. And I pray that it blesses someone today. Okay, we all know that, you see Abraham and Sarah was promised a child. And after a long wait and looking at the situation in the natural, Sarah became impatient and doubtful. And so she gave her maiden Hagar to Abraham for him to know her, and they created Ishmael. And then after that, the Lord came into him and told him to follow Sarah, and that Ishmael had to go. But at the same time, the Lord still blessed them with the promise, which was Isaac. Because you see, in Genesis 12, 1 and 2, it states, let me see, let me go in my notes here. It states that, it says, "Now the Lord said to Abram, go for yourself for your own advantage, away from your country, from your relatives and your father's house, to the land that I show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you with abundant increase of favors, and make your name famous and distinguished, and you will be a blessing, dispensing good to others." You see, Isaac was that promise. He was that seed that he was going to get in order for him to become a great nation. And so after a while, after some events happened, God tested, and He proved Abraham and said to him, "Abraham," and he said, "Here I am." And he said, God said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah and offer them there a burnt offering upon one of the mountains of which I will tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and then began the trip to the place of which God had told him. And on the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. And Abraham said to his servants, "Settle down and stay here with the donkey, and I will go yonder and worship and come again to you." See, even when you go into sacrifice to do something that the Lord told you to do, everybody cannot go with you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and took the fire in his hand and knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham his father and said, "My father." He said, "Here I am, my son." And he said, "Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb of the burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering." So they went both of them together. You see, Abraham even had the faith that God was going to provide that sacrifice. So you see, when when he told me, "Lay down your Isaac, Cynthia, on the altar so that I may provide a ram in the bush." And so it started coming to me. It was like, okay, can you imagine what Abraham was going through though? He was literally going through some things. I mean, going up there, I know he was obeying God, but at the same time, can you imagine? I mean, at the same time, if I was walking Caitlin up there on the altar, because the Lord told me to go and sacrifice her, I mean, I literally would have been going through some changes. Like, God, this is a promise you gave me. This is something that you gave me a long time ago, and now you're telling me to go and sacrifice it. Why would you do this to me? See, I think there were 2 things that were going on in the midst of it. There was a test. God wanted to see if Abraham would trust him, and also if he could trust Abraham, and to see if he could bless him some more so that he can provide a ram in the bush. Because you see, later on we'll find out that after the ram in the bush came, after he told him, "No, I see that you obeyed me," and he stopped him from sacrificing his son, that's when he blessed him exceedingly abundantly, more than he can ask or think. So then, and then it said, Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, which is the Lord will provide. And it said to this day, on that moment of the Lord, it will be provided. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, "I have sworn by myself, says the Lord, that since you have done this and have not withheld from me or begrudged, giving me your son, your only promise. In blessing, I will bless you, and in multiplying, I will multiply your descendants like the stars of the heavens and like the sand on the seashore. And your seed will possess the gate of his enemies, and your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. And because you have heard and obeyed my voice. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, what does this mean for me? Well, what are your Isaacs today? What is it that God has promised you? Something that you have prayed for over and over. Maybe it's a broken relationship with your husband or your wife. Maybe the Lord has promised you that he will heal your marriage. He will heal a sickness, or he will give your barren womb a baby, that you would have a baby, or that your wayward child will come back, or your sibling will get off drugs, or something. There's something that God promised you. Maybe you're single and you've been praying to be married, and God has promised it. I mean, you've got confirmation after confirmation, word after word, and you know that God is going to deliver, because you know that he's not a man that he should lie. So what we do is we start to focus on that promise. And so God says, well, let me test you just a little bit. Are you going to lay down this promise, this Isaac, so that I can bless you and that I can do what I need to do with you? But he's also saying that I need to know that I can trust you, because you see that he is our ultimate great reward. And he's also our husband, because we are the bride of Christ. He's our husband. And when you become intimate with your husband, you become impregnated with the seed, and that seed is the promise, and you will birth out that promise, which is that baby. So God is saying today, are you going to lay down your Isaacs so that I may provide a ram in the bush? Because you say that I may provide, it means that I want to provide for you. I want to provide for you, because you see, that promise is not what it all is. You see, the promise is a product of me and your intimate relationship with one another. Just like the baby, like a wife and her husband being intimate with one another, their love produces the baby, which is that promise with you and God. So God's trying to ask some of y'all today, I'm looking for some laid down lovers. Are you just being intimate with me so that you can get the baby? And then once you get the baby, are you going to be intimate with me some more? Or is it just to have the baby? Is it all about the baby, or is it about me? You see, God is a jealous God. And he's telling you, I want you to lay it down, because he is a good God. Now, he's not telling you to lay it down because it's something that he did promise you. But it's not what it's all about. It's not just about the promises of God. It's not about inheriting that. He's saying, what you need from me right now, what I want from you right now, I'm looking for some laid down lovers. Is there somebody out there that's going to sacrifice everything, their life? Are you going to sacrifice your desires for his desires, your wants for his wants, your needs for his needs, and say, God, even if it does not happen, or it does not come, or it does not come in the way that I think it should come, or in expectancy, Lord, you are my great reward. And you are the one that I want to be intimate with. Yes, I want the promises, but I know that being intimate with you will birth out the promises. He's saying, I want to provide the ram in the bush for you. I want to do that. I want to bless you exceedingly. I'm telling you, anything that you give the Lord, he will give back 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, any way that he sees fit. But he will test your faith. So just hang on to those promises. But at the same time, don't forget where the promise is coming from. It's coming from the one that you fell in love with in the first place. It's not all about getting from him. It's not all about getting that seed so that you can have the baby, so you can just be all up in the baby's face. And now your husband is looking at you going like, well, what about me? Is that what all I was for? Were you only intimate with me in order to get the promise? Or are you intimate with me because you love me? Who is going to love me today? Who is going to lay down their life for me today, for my purposes, for my plan, for my will? Have that hour in Gethsemane. Say, Lord, let this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, not my will, but thy will, Lord, thy will. I want your will, Lord. Lord, I pray today, Lord, that you raise up some lovers, Lord, an army of lovers, Lord, that will seek you for you, and not for your promises, not for the end result, but for you. Because we know, God, we know that you are our exceeding great reward. And this is the word that the Lord had given me. And I pray it blesses someone today. If he gives me any more, I'll be posting some more. But I love y'all. God bless.